I don't wanna wait. I wanna go. Alright, let's do this. Oh baby. Start up. Let's start some tunes going a little bit. Some light vibes.
This is my road,
This is my mood,
the way I know,
the way I know.
dance with my goals, dance with my goals. Ain't no, I want my love now. Oh, dance with my goals, dance with my goals. This is my road, the way I know, dance with my goals, dance with my goals. Whenever I'm on my own, I swear I dance with my goals, dance with my goals, dance with my goals, dance with my goals,
Let's go, Ron Tony. I need to get my fucking level 55 water on him. Just got 60 yesterday. I need to get my 55 water on him. Make things much
dance with my goals.
easier.
Ain't no,
A little bit of rebuff.
I want my love now. Oh, dance with my goals.
This is my bones. This is my bones. Latin. What are my professions on this guy? I forgot it. Got tailoring. I forgot what I wanted next too. Wanda motherfucker down.
Someone's gonna make it last.
It's in my bones. It's in my bones. It's in my. You see, it's in my bones. It's in my bones. Always in my bones. 'Cause I'm in my zones. Always on my own. It's in my bones. He's in my bones. He's in my bones. He's in my bones. Uh-oh, I am
Someone's gonna make it last.
Oh, I got silenced again. No, no, no. Oh, I got silenced again. Oh, no.
Make it last forever.
Oh, no.
Someone's gonna make it last. It can't last forever. Someone's gonna make it last. Standing out, it's alright. circle my room, spectre that blooms from your unsleeping, your voice echo the noise, sing me a siren song, mislead me. This is how you haunt me. You talk but just to taunt me. You want but you don't want me. You're gone. This is how I haunt you. You want me just to want you. You think that I don't see through. You're wrong.
You're wrong.
This is how you hold me.
This is how you hold me. This is how you hold me.
This is how you hold me. This is how you hold me. Go. I'm not alone. Turned off my phone. How are you sleeping? Your spine flies on my wall. Hard to ignore. They loom above me. This is how you haunt me. You talk but just to taunt me. You want but you don't want me. You're gone. This is how I haunt you. You want me just to want you. You think that I don't see through. You're wrong. This is how you haunt me. You talk but just to taunt me. You want but you don't want me. You're gone. This is how I haunt you. You want me just to want you. You think that I don't see through. You're wrong. This is how you haunt me. This is how you This is how you hold me. You talk but just to taunt me. You want me, you don't want me. You're gone. This is how I hold you. You want me just to want you. You think that I don't see through. You're wrong. This is how you hold me.
You don't like Makokoda? It sucks, Dino. It sucks. Yo, don't stop. Get it.
An app, Sirius XM Channel 80 on your smart speaker. Did the Bucks do enough to keep Giannis around? Gonna hit that in a little bit. Got a lot of thoughts about that. The Max Kellerman Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests join me on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You can reach me at 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. What are the Nets about to do in New York? Remember when the Knicks used to play in New York? No one's thinking about the Knicks anymore. The Knicks are a pathetic, laughing-stock joke because a fish rots from the head down, Jim Dolan. But I'm going to stop being so nice to Dolan in a little while. You can hear me really go in on him, Raj. That was nice. That was with the kids' gloves on. Be a part of Max Kellerman Nation on the Dr. Pepper call-in line. ESPN Nation is presented by Dr. Pepper. It's official. College football's back. And so is your favorite Dr. Pepper-loving college football town, Fansville. Head to a store near you to treat your inner college football fan to a nice, cool 20-ounce Dr. Pepper today. But first, it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. James Harden rejects the Rockets' extension offer with a focus on the Nets. I didn't even know you could offer a guy $50 million. I guess a certain number of years in the league, what a salary already is, all these kind of complicated cap rules. Nets offering 2 years, $103 million. First ever $50 million player. I remember Michael Jordan when he started going year to year toward the end of his career, because Reinsdorf had him way under market for most of his career. Then Jordan started taking like $27 million a year. But like, I want to say the max contract that you could get back then was like $12 million. I don't remember how they got Jordan for 27. He was making like literally 2.5, 3 times what the next highest paid guy was making per year. But if you have a certain number of years in the league, certain number of years with the same team, you're already at a certain level of your salary. All that affects what you can be offered. But $50 million a year. James Harden said no to $50 a year. And I don't blame him. If you're past 30 and you've never won a championship and you don't believe the franchise that you're on is going to win a championship or get you the help you need, or is rudderless, or is not what you're used to or going in the direction you prefer, then this is it. Like, Harden might be looking like, I might be an effective basketball player 3 years from now, but there's no guarantee that I'm in my prime still. I'm in my prime now. I don't know how many years left I have in my 30s at this level. I want to win a championship now. I get it. And that's not going to be in Houston. I mean, look, part of the problem is he didn't come up big when they needed him most. On the other hand, he led a team with almost no talent on it compared to the Warriors and took them to a Game 7 and had a home game for that Game 7 and didn't have Chris Paul available to him. And he didn't shoot it well, but neither did anyone else. But I get it. He wants to go somewhere where he can win a championship. He sees Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, and he knows they're not going to move Kyrie, right? But even if they did somehow, Harden and KD and Dinwiddie and LeVert, or Harden and Kyrie and KD, you got to get to the finals with that team, you would think. I have a star rating system, right? 5 stars is an MVP caliber player. 4 is an all-star. 3 is a starter. 2 is a rotation piece. 1 is a replacement level player. If you have 2 5-star players on the same team, you're probably going to get to a finals at least. KD is a 5-star player. Even if he's not 100% himself after the Achilles, he's going to be a 4.5. Harden's a 5. They're both MVP caliber players when last seen in action. And Kyrie is not just a 4. He's a 4+. He's a 4.5 or something like that. Teams with that kind of talent on them make the finals at least. Even if you just stacked up the talent, that Nets team would have more talent than they would be likely to achieve at that level. In other words, if you could take that same talent and make the right pieces fit better, that would be a better team. Nevertheless, you just figure out how to make it work if you have KD and Harden and Kyrie on the same team. But how could they do that? How could the Nets afford Kyrie, Harden, and KD? Well, the guy who broke all this with his Woj bombs was more than one, right? ESPN's NBA insider. Do I really have to label Woj? He's a cottage industry unto himself. Adrian Wojnarowski. How could the Nets afford Kyrie, Harden, and KD?
They have an owner in Brooklyn and Joe Tsai who is willing to go deep in luxury tax, and having 3 max players and a player like Joe Harris you're going to have to re-sign in this offseason. It would be an expensive proposition. There aren't a lot of teams in this pandemic right now who would be willing to spend the way the Nets would be to have to do a deal like this, take on Harden's money long term.
The thing is, the Nets are about to own New York for a generation. The Knicks, listen, Knicks fans, Dolan can't hurt you anymore. I used to, the Max Kellerman show in New York City 10 years ago, or whatever it was, 15 years ago. I used to call, have a Knicks fan hotline. If you felt you were being abused by the owner, you could call in. Right? Well, Dolan can't hurt you anymore. Back then, there wasn't a lot of options, right? What could you do? Just not root for your hometown team? Because the Nets played in Jersey. Nets are in Brooklyn. A team grows in Brooklyn. Do you realize Brooklyn's been without a championship since 1955 and without a major league team since 1957 when Walter O'Malley picked up and left for LA? Do you understand? The late, great Jack Newfield, editor at the Village Voice, writer for the New York Post, author of books. Remember Don King, The Life and Crimes of Don King, Only in America? Remember that book was made into an HBO movie? That was Jack Newfield. Jack Newfield used to have boxing, how would I put it, soirees at his house, right? Teddy Atlas and me, before we were on TV together, a whole bunch of people would go over to Jack Newfield's house and watch old fights leading up to a pay-per-view fight. And we'd be about 15 or 20 people in the room. It was funny, about half of the guys who weren't in the boxing industry were FBI and the other half were mob. Like in the same room watching old fights. That's the boxing crowd. Anyway, Jack Newfield used to say, he used to call them the 3 antichrists of the 20th century. He would literally name 2 dictators, I don't even want to drop their names on the radio, and Walter O'Malley, who took the Brooklyn Dodgers to L.A. That's how people from Brooklyn felt about it. And then the Nets come to Brooklyn, a basketball-obsessed. New York is basketball before it's anything else. By the way, by far. The reason it's baseball is because the Yankees are the greatest franchise in the history of world sports. By far, by the way. So if you have that, of course, people will pay attention to it because you're usually winning championships. And football is huge in the rest of the country, and it's big in New York too, but Giants are big in New York, but basketball is the New York game because there's not a lot of space. But you can play basketball with one person with very little space, or 5-on-5, right? Basketball is called the New York game. And yet in New York, we've been subjected to the most pathetic franchise. The Knicks. They're such a disgusting laughingstock that they can't get people to take their money. Remember, we're trading Kristaps Porzingis because we're trying to build for the future. Hold on, dummies. You're trading a franchise unicorn on his rookie deal to build for the future? Do you remember the Houston Rockets going, we have to trade Hakeem because we need draft picks for the future? the Spurs going, we got to get rid of Duncan. Draft picks for the future. Dirk Nowitzki on his rookie deal in Dallas. Draft picks for the future. Could you imagine? Nonsense. And then they wound up with Julius Randle. It's the only guy who would take their money. Here's $10 million. Hey, will you take it, Julius Randle? We can't get anyone else to take it. Julius Randle's like, great, I can't get anyone else to give me the money. It was $10 million a year, wasn't it? It wasn't $20 million a year. Who said 20? Was that Chris saying 20?
It was $80 million.
Anyway, the point is, they gave Julius Randle $80 for 4?
Got him that Tim Hardaway Jr.
better than
contract.
I thought. Anyway, oh my God, it's so good. All right, anyway, What choice did you have? Now, that against that backdrop, no team in Brooklyn in any sport. Not only do you get a team in Brooklyn after 65 years, but it's a basketball team. That's what the city really wants. And it's not just a basketball team. It's Dr. J's old franchise. And it's not just Dr. J's old franchise. KD and Kyrie are on it. And it's not just that KD and Kyrie are on it. James Harden wants to play there. Do you understand if you win a championship? Let me give you a little evidence. In maybe 86 or 87, you get great seats to a Yankee game, it was $100. A Giants game, maybe it was $200, something like that. If you wanted to sit courtside for a Knicks game, floor seats for a Knicks game, it was $1,500. $1,500. There was it was the only place in Manhattan, right? Brooklyn's right there, though. It's not like you got to go out to Jersey or way up to the Bronx. And it's basketball. And it's do you understand if the Nets, no one's thinking about the Knicks, if the Nets got Harden, even if they don't, just with KD and Kyrie, what do you think floor seats are going to cost for the Nets? If you win a championship in Brooklyn rings bells around the world in a way that, like, I was born in the Bronx. My parents are from the Bronx. If you're from New York, it's a cool place to be. But around the world, people are naming their kids Brooklyn in, like, China, right? It rings. You win a championship with the Brooklyn Nets? That was Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Scoop Jackson, ESPN senior writer's on the phone. What's up, Scoop?
Man, what's up, Max? I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a boring segment right here because you and I agree on everything right now. So I'm telling you right now, it's going to be boring. Especially,
well, maybe we'll find disagreement.
I was watching you this morning. Everything you said this morning, I was agreeing with you with. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go on Max show. It's going to be bad.
Well, listen, that's quite an intro that you just gave yourself.
Everything you said, I agree with. Everything you say right now, I agree with.
See, Scoop, here's the thing. I think you're entertaining enough even if we're agreeing. Apparently, you lack self-confidence.
No, I love self-confidence. I like it better when me and you are like the two old men on the Muppets. And then,
yeah,
right,
the judges.
Right, the judges, yeah. But see, now,
That's
I think we're going to be more like, Ebony and Ivory, 10 speed and brown shoes. So, whatever.
Who's Ebony? All right, listen, let me ask you something. Scoop, let me ask you something. I was arguing about this with Stephen A. on the air today. I say if Harden winds up on the Nets and they don't trade, I bring up the late, great Dr. Jerry Buss, greatest owner by so much it's ridiculous in the history of American team sports. He told Kobe when Kobe wanted to trade. Kobe wanted to go to the Clippers. Right. Dr. Buss said, Kobe, you're a 5-carat diamond. I'm not breaking you down into 5 1-carat diamonds. How do I get equal value for you, right? So if you're the Rockets, you have Harden, you're looking at the Nets like, I like LeVert, I like Dinwiddie, I like a draft pick. Yo, y'all ain't getting Harden without upping at least Kyrie Irving, right?
Exactly.
But let's say somehow they keep Kyrie and add Harden. What I say in year one, you must make the finals. But considering you just came together, you don't have to win it year one. You have to win it together at some point, but maybe not year one. Where do you stand on that?
I agree. You said that earlier this morning, and I agree with you right now. I think there will be pressure on them to, win it in game one, but I think it doesn't all fall apart if they don't. A lot of it will focus on how they lost. Like I said, they at least have to get out of the East, and then they have to at least show up in the finals. But I don't, especially if there's a 3 if there's a window and everybody's contract lines up and they're at least there for 3 years, then they have to win at least 1 or 2 of them within that 3-year period while together. But, the pressure's only on them to make it to the finals and get out of the East, probably at least. And once again, it's how they lose if they lose. If they get blown out, that was one of the problems that we had in Houston. I know you're probably going to want to talk about James Harden in the Houston situation. But a lot of Houston's problem wasn't the fact that they lost, it's how they lost every year. Yeah. And if Brooklyn, if they get all 3, which I'm not with anyway, but if they do get all 3, it's going to be in year one more about how they lost than the fact that they did lose. So,
if they get to if they lose in the finals, talking to Scoop Jackson.
Max, if they get to the Eastern Conference Finals and they wind up playing Miami, a team who was just in the finals last year, a team who's probably going to come back stronger with the year of playing together under their belt. If they lose to Miami in 7 and don't make it out of the East, if the games are tight, they don't get blown out, they will be understanding about, well, hell, Miami is a team. They were focused on doing this. They were more prepared because they were together last year. They're actually more advanced, even with as team chemistry goes, than the Nets are this year. We won't accept this next year, but right now there could be an understanding of why Miami could beat them in the conference finals, depending on how they lose.
Or Milwaukee. We get to that in a second.
Exactly.
Scoop Jackson. You can check him out on ESPN Plus right now. His picture's up there from when he used to be in New Edition, apparently. Why'd you leave that group? You guys were making hits.
Hey, man.
I saw you dancing around in Mr. Telephone,
Hey,
man.
man, me and Ralph Chazad, baby. You know how we do it.
Hey, so speaking of the Milwaukee Bucks, they trade for Drew Holiday and Bogdanovich, but Bogdan, not Bojan, right?
Right.
The
Get it right.
Bogdanovich, yeah, right. From the Kings. So let's back up for a second. Malcolm Brogdon, they let him walk out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And I get what's his name from the Bills, from the Bulls. Mirotic wanted to play in Europe. If they would have kept him, he was excellent. Like to me, had he been healthy in that original run they made, maybe things are different. But he leaves. But Brogdon, you had a chance to keep and grandfather in under the cap, but you'd have had to pay luxury tax. Right. But right now with Brogdon, they could have made a deal for a superstar. If they didn't have him, that ship has sailed. You know what I think, Scoop? The deal they just made. I see them trimming a lot of fat. The only guy I really like is DiVincenzo, and he may be years away, right? If he ever develops into something really worthwhile. Otherwise, I don't care about anything they lost in that deal, but they get back. Not only is Bogdanovich a shooter, but he's a playmaker.
Yeah.
He's one of those, bigs who can really move the ball, right?
Yeah.
And Drew Holiday.
He'll probably play better in this system in Milwaukee than he did in Sacramento too. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sure, ball movement and shooting.
Exactly.
And Drew Holiday is a quasi bubble kind of all-star player in the regular season, but a superstar in the playoffs who really defends and can hit big shots and can play make. When I look at this construction right now, Scoop, you got that second playmaker behind Giannis. You got a 3-and-D guy plus in Middleton, like a poor man's Klay Thompson sort of, but like an all-star caliber guy. You have Brook Lopez who can defend the rim and bomb. You got a lot of stuff on this team all of a sudden. All 5 positions, can shoot and defend.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, Drew Holiday is the version of Eric Bledsoe they thought they were getting when they made the trade to get him to Phoenix. That's what Drew Holiday is. So he completes everything that you're trying to do in Milwaukee. But here's the thing. The only thing I disagree with you on is that we may not be having this conversation, Max, if they make, and I don't know if the money was there, I have to go back and think about it, but if they decided a year ago to keep Brogdon and then let Bledsoe go. I think we may not be having this conversation about Milwaukee because Brogdon probably would have done and serviced them to cover up some of the mistakes and some of the blanks they weren't getting in the bubble, in the playoffs, against the Miami that Drew Bledsoe didn't come through and do. I think Brogdon was much more reliable. I'm saying they may have gone.
Drew Holiday's like a better version of Brogdon.
But I'm saying is that if they advance past Milwaukee because of Brogdon's play, then we may not be having this conversation and somebody else may be going there, right? That's what I'm saying, because Eric Bledsoe,
Scoop, what I'm saying, but I'm bringing up.
He didn't come through, and Brogdon, I think, would have come through. That's basically what I'm saying.
Right, but although Brogdon had an off year last year, but I'm bringing up this because when you look at the Nets, they have better upper end talent, but the pieces don't fit just right. You have a couple of ball stoppers. You have KD coming off injury. When you look at the Bucks, they don't have the same talent. That usually means you're not going to win. The more talented, the team with the more upper echelon talented guys win. But Drew Holiday running your point.
Yeah, I love it.
With Bogdanovich and Middleton and Lopez surrounding the freak, those pieces seem to fit almost perfectly together. Like, that's ideal. Do you think they would have a shot to knock off the Nets, the Bucks would, with this current configuration if the Nets got Harden?
If the Nets got Harden, yeah, I think if the Nets get Harden, anybody has a chance to really beat the Nets in a 7-game series because there's going to be no defense there. And the culture of what the Nets are, especially with a first-year coach like Steve Nash, is going to be vacant. It's not going to be there. They're not even going to have any culture. They're going to try to figure out what their culture is with a first-time coach. I don't really see that happening. happening. So there's a lot of teams, and with the Bucks included, that could be the next if they do get hard. But here's the thing. My question to you about the Bucks is, will Drew Holiday make Giannis a better player in 7-game situations when it comes to the playoffs? Because as great as Giannis is,
I think so.
Right. Now, if he can do that, then the Bucks are going to be a problem. And they have to find a way to not base everything they're doing offensively on Giannis when he gets into situations and schemes that he can't be Giannis in. And we've seen that the last
that's the
2
point
years.
of Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday can take over ball handling responsibilities at a high and clutch level. And Giannis can be in the dunker spot or like use the way Ben Simmons sometimes is instead of running the show. Because Holiday is like souped up Rondo. Rondo's not very good in the regular season. He's excellent in the playoffs. Holiday is very good in the regular season, and he's great in the playoffs. Like the Bucks are going to be a problem. They need to deepen the team a little bit now. They don't have as the depth they used to have, but that starting five is going to be a problem. Both the Bucks and Phoenix really have impressive starting fives. And Scoop Jackson, ladies and gentlemen, joined us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. I don't know why he left New Edition, Raj. Can we see that picture again on ESPN Plus? Look at that. Cool it now. You got to slow it down. Do you remember why they were called New Edition, Raj?
Because they were going to be the new
What was that a
thing.
reference to?
The Beatles.
No. Think.
The Jackson 5.
Yes. Yes, the Jackson 5. The Beatles. New Edition was like the new version of the Jackson 5. This is 1983, I want to say. Popcorn love, but it's more. I remember that well. Max Kellerman Show, presented by Progressive Insurance, but then Scoop left the band and left the group, and that's when it all started going downhill. Scoop was like, yeah, this is good, but can we see that picture one more time on ESPN Plus? This is Scoop from when he was in New Edition. And once he left, it was all downhill after that. He thought he could make some money in the sports commentary business. And he thought, like, New Edition was just a passing fad, so he left the group. Max Kellerman Show, presented by Progressive Insurance. Cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more at Progressive.com. After starting 5-1, is it a wrap for the Chicago Bears? 2020 has changed the world of sports. Some teams are modifying their stadiums and arena, while others are letting fans buy virtual seats in the stands. These changes have created demand for unexpected roles, from plexiglass screen installers to video platform support specialists. That's why Scoop left New Edition originally.
All right.
Video support specialist. Will you let me run it into the ground? If you let me do Beat It Up enough, then it becomes funny again, Raj. We're in the stage where it's not funny anymore, but then I got to keep doing it till it gets funny again. Whether you need to hire for new positions like these or more familiar positions, there's only one place to go, ZipRecruiter, and right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/max. ZipRecruiter's matching technology finds the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's why you should try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/max. That's ZipRecruiter.com/max. Chicago, is it a wrap for the Bears?
We're back on Wednesday, and the Browns may regret drafting Baker Mayfield first overall, but finally, do they no longer regret passing on Wentz and Watson? Keyshawn, J. Will Zubin, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
More from the Max Kellerman Show next.
We saved big money with our Progressive Home and Auto Bundle and used the cash to take a family vacation.
To Hawaii.
Who's up for a luau?
Yeah!
This is not a real testimonial. Sure, customers can save big money with Progressive, but not enough to go to Hawaii. They'll probably use it for things like the mortgage and groceries, or even a travel magazine, so at least they can see pictures of Hawaii.
Aloha!
Yes, say hello to those beautiful Hawaiian beaches in that magazine. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
Good night.
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
Place your legal sports bet at BetRivers.com, your new home for basketball betting. The most basketball betting options on the sport you love. We offer live in-game betting on every game in the U.S. We have tons of bets available during games, from money lines, total points, quarter bets, halftime wagers, and many more. Use one of our easy deposit methods to get in on the action. And when you win, we pay fast. Sign up now, and we'll match your first deposit up to $250. More bets, more action, more fun. Place your sports bets at BetRivers.com.
Yes! When it comes to Sunday, choose the right couch. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller time.
We're the Croods.
We are the Bettermans.
Welcome to a better way to live.
This place is changing everyone.
Give this place a chance.
Do I have to like him?
Gruggers.
Grug.
You have to be nice.
I don't know if cave people belong in a modern world.
We're evolved people.
Maybe we should take it down a notch. Wow.
The Cruise, a new age, rated PG, in theaters Thanksgiving.
At Whirlpool, we don't know how the same number of people can make twice as much laundry without ever leaving the house. We don't know how breakfast can make you need a snack. How are you still hungry? Or where all the glasses keep going. But as the #1 selling appliance brand in America, Whirlpool does know how to make appliances you can trust. Meal after meal, dish after dish, load after load, day after... What day is it?
With Schneider's new Freight Power app, automate your freight tracking so you can keep your fleet running smoothly, one load to the next. Download the Schneider Freight Power app today.
Earlier this morning on Get Up.
The Buccaneers will win the NFC South. Is that an overreaction?
Obviously not an overreaction. We've been talking about it since the offseason, and they're right there behind the Saints. Now, they have to pass the Saints, obviously, because they lost to them twice, and therefore the Saints have the tiebreaker. But the Saints just lost their quarterback for we don't know how long. And think about this. The Buccaneers, I want the former players in here to chime in. The Buccaneers don't have to get on a plane again for a month. Their next road game is December 20th. Veteran team, some older guys, that matters this time of year. They have 3 home games and a bye.
Yeah, that's a very good point. They also don't have any cold weather games. They will not have to deal with that, which helps when you have a 43-year-old quarterback and more. So let me bring those guys back in here. And Marcus, I want to start with you because it confounds me. A week ago, we're having a conversation of what's wrong with the Bucs. They just got shellacked by the Saints. Now here we are. Oh, they clearly look like the team to beat. What does that mean? What are we supposed to say about them?
Well, first, we're supposed to say we've been on a damn roller coaster with them, G. That's number one. And then the second thing is they're the best team in the NFC now. Like, look, this is fluid. Like, everybody knows, like, when we watching these games, and obviously if Drew Brees hadn't gotten hurt, this would be a moot point. But the fact that Drew Brees is out for the New Orleans Saints obviously changes the dynamic of that. And Tampa is the next best thing when you start talking about teams that are complete. We talked about this team being complete. We talked about this team being able to manufacture yards at a high clip. And look, coaching has been responsible for the downfall. Tom Brady's play, trying to live and house himself within that coaching. But it looks like they got back to what they can do against the Carolina Panthers. Now, hopefully, that's what they take forward going the rest of the way, and that's the best team in the NFC.
All right, Jeff Saturday, let me come to you on putting it this way. If you had to bet that palatial estate of yours in Atlanta, Georgia there, on which team is going to wind up winning the NFC, do you take the Bucs?
I've been all in on the Bucs the whole time, Greeny. I'm not changing now, man. I've already pushed all in. You know what I mean? Listen, Swagoo said it. I fully agree. I think when you look at the Bucs, they are a complete football team. Again, Drew Brees' injury definitely helps and makes me feel much better about my push, because I don't think he'll be back in 3 weeks. Probably not, more like a 6-week type thing in my opinion. But that's the only team that's really been their kryptonite. So as you're looking at this team, the only caveat I would say, the only issue for me with the Bucs offense is Tom Brady in the deep ball. That gives me concern when you talk about that portion, right? Because when you're talking about he has one of the lowest incompletion rates, or he has the highest incompletion rate of 20-plus yard balls downfield, that gives me pause and concern because that's really what BA wants to do. So when you're talking about that part has to get better. And here's the other part that no one talks about. That frustrates receivers. When Evans wins, he wants the ball. When AB wins, they want the ball, right? When Grant wins, gets over the top, you got to make those plays. That has to happen for this Bucs to stay in that offensive rhythm.
Who would have thought we'd say Brady might be the question mark there? All right, Greg, same question to you. Who, right now, you have to bet it all. Who's the team that wins the NFC?
Give me the Bucs. Saturday talked me into it. I thought it was funny that Graziano mentioned a plane flight, given the fact that the Bucs were delayed like 8 hours on the ground on Saturday night just last week. I like the Bucs, and he mentioned the deep ball. To me, it's as much about what the Saints aren't right now, and that's what I just don't know what they're going to be without Drew Brees. Like, you can tell me 2-3 weeks, no chance. I mean, broken ribs with an aging quarterback, I'm thinking 5 or 6 at the minimum. So I like the Bucs in large part due to what the Saints don't have, and that's a Hall of Fame quarterback pulling the trigger.
So it is unanimous here. We all like Tampa Bay.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, Theo Epstein stepping down as Cubs president of baseball operations, saying it's time for a change. His Chicago tenure included the team's first World Series championship since 1908. GM Jed Hoyer takes over for Epstein. ESPN's Ed Werder reporting Saints quarterback Drew Brees getting a second opinion as he seeks to determine the full scope of his chest injuries. Additional opinions will help New Orleans determine whether Brees should be put on IR. Wichita State basketball coach Greg Marshall resigning after an internal investigation into allegations of physical and verbal abuse made by former players. He'll receive a $7.75 million buyout paid over 6 years.
Look, we all accidentally damage our phones. It happens. Now, Straight Talk Wireless's new Platinum Unlimited plan includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, data, and more. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
The Max Kellerman Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN Plus, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, your smart speaker. Chicago, where do the Cubs turn to after Theo Epstein has stepped down? Boy, Chicago is going through some rough sports times now. Bears got no O-line. Nick Foles is carted off. You blew it on the Trubisky draft. The White Sox hire Tony La Russa, who shows up with a DUI, and who Jack McDowell, former White Sox ace and Cy Young Award winner and two-time 20-game winner with the White Sox in the late 80s, or was that early 90s? It might have been early 90s. Talks about there was a sign-stealing scheme in place, installed, as far as he knows, by Tony La Russa. And Reinsdorf hires La Russa because he felt guilty, according to Jeff Passan, about letting him go once upon a time. Whew. And now Theo Epstein steps down from at least Cubs fans. Like, yeah, but we have Epstein running the show. Not anymore. Max Kellerman Show, presented by Progressive Insurance, also Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. You can reach me at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Monday Night Football, Chicago's fourth straight loss after starting the season 5-1. You know what? I'm going to prove to you right now I'm going to take calls. Right now. And then I'm going to talk about the Bears. Because, Raj, too much time goes by. I don't take calls. I promise I will. I promise I will. I like making fun of the calls. Did I say that out loud? Mitch in New Jersey, you're on the Max Kellerman Show, ESPN Radio.
Max, how you doing? Good show.
Thank you, Mitch.
That is a good move by Milwaukee. I want to see Giannis stay in Milwaukee. But the Nets, full of James Harden, I still think you got to favor the Nets making it to the finals again.
Hold on. You're a little bit nervous. Mitch, you're a little bit nervous. Let's start again. This is how you do it. I'm going to show you how to do a radio call. I used to be a caller on radio talk, sports talk radio as a kid. Raj, I told you, Art Rust Jr. talking sports. And when they put you on hold and you're waiting and you're listening to the show, and like you get nervous, your heart's beating faster, and then they click you on, and it's different now. Now you're talking through the phone and everything, and you sometimes get tripped up. So let's go back, Mitch. Let's start in the beginning. The way you do it is lead with your strongest point or best question. Do you want to make a point about Giannis? You want to see Giannis stay in Milwaukee. Why? You see what I mean? Is that what you want to say, or do you want to focus on Harden and the Nets, Mitch? Which one do you want to focus on?
Harden and the Nets. If they can...
Okay, great. What is it that you want to say? We're going to construct a proper call so everyone can hear it now. What is it you want to say about Harden and the Nets? What's your point?
If they can trade him without giving up Kyrie Durant, obviously. I think they would be highly favored in that conference to reach the finals, and hopefully against our Clippers.
Now I'm going to show you something. Hold on. Let's stop. Now I'm going to show you something. Michael Thompson, the greatest program director I ever worked with, used to teach me, and he was my program director in New York and L.A. actually, and when he was with ESPN, and used to teach me about doing this, right? So you make a point. So here's your point, Mitch. Your point is that you think if they can they can get Harden without giving up Kyrie or obviously KD, they should win it all, right? Is that what your point is?
Well, at least get to the finals. You still got...
At least get to the finals. So Michael Thompson would sit there and go, not the basketball player, the program there would say, and he would just sit there, keep saying, and. So I'm going to do that to you. Ready for this? Raj, I'm producing a radio call.
You're doing pretty well.
So they would at least get to the finals if they can keep Kyrie and Harden, and
get James Harden. And they're kind of deep. They have a pretty good roster. I think they still have a few first-round picks this year or in the coming. Maybe they have a mid-level exception. And maybe this time they can get over the hump.
They have a mid-level obsession? All right, Mitch, this has gone as far as it can. Thank you for the call. See, now, if it was what Mitch should have said is something like, and, like, you get to a point. What Mitch's point seems to me to be, Raj, is that it doesn't matter exactly how the talent fits. It's that when you have what Dr. Jerry Buss called, the late, great Dr. Jerry Buss, greatest owner in the history of American team sports by far, a 5-carat diamond, you don't break it down into a smaller diamond. In the history of the NBA, the winner of the deal is the team that gets the best player. So what he's saying is get James Harden and add Harden to Kyrie, who's special, and KD, who's special. Don't swap him out for Kyrie. That would be something. See, this is what I get for taking a call right away. I should have just gotten to my point. News from Max Kellerman Nation. Mitch just hit us up on the Dr. Pepper call-in line. I tried to coach him through a call, and maybe he'll do better next time. Seemed like a nice enough guy. Now, I want to get to the Bears. Look, Nick Foles was carted off after being slammed to the turf late in the fourth. I couldn't tell what it was at first. I was like, wait, was that his shoulder? Was it a rib? Was it at a certain point, he was like, couldn't move his foot. I was like, was it an ankle? What the hell just happened? And even on replay, I was like, I guess it's his shoulder-ish. I was hoping it wasn't his neck, right? Because they were stabilizing him. I'm like, hopefully it's not the upper part of his spine. And it turns out it's a hip pointer. That's like the best news he could get, right? A bruise, where your hip points out, it's a deep bruise. That's a hip pointer. They carted him off. Could have been a lot worse. Matt Nagy said Foles was still being examined by team doctors and suffered either a leg or a hip injury. Look, this is what I was thinking as I watched Nick Foles go down. Nick Foles has not played well. But Nick Foles is not a guy who's going to elevate a team with a bad offensive line without depth at receiver, that kind of thing. If you protect Nick Foles and block for the run, and you have some guys who can catch the ball, Nick Foles will not only not stop you, and a defense, he needs a lot, but not only will he not stop you from winning, he'll wind up being the reason you win. He'll come through in the clutch. He'll manage the game and come through in the clutch. He's an average NFL quarterback, which is a pretty good thing. But he's not the fastest guy in the world. He doesn't have the biggest arm. He can throw the ball down the field. He is, and he's a leader. Guys like playing with him. So I'm not so down on Nick Foles as everyone else, even though he's been terrible. The offensive line. The Bears didn't have a good offensive line coming into the season. They have 4 injuries. 4 of their starters are down, plus some guys who back up the starters. They're playing 3rd, 4th stringers in some cases on the offensive line. At least 3rd stringers. And it's a bad line to begin with. It's garbage. They can't block anyone. They can't help the running backs out. They can't protect Nick Foles. And they only have one real receiver in Allen Robinson. The other guy's just okay. And you've heard about Casey Joyner, the football scientist, on this show, how he talked about run blocking. A great running back behind bad run blocking gets 2 yards a carry, 3 yards a carry. A bad running back behind great run blocking, 7 yards a carry. Right? So they have no run blocking, and they can't keep the quarterback clean, and they don't have a receiving core. But here's the point. I am 47 years old. I've never seen the Bears with a great quarterback, ever. Jim McMahon, you're going to tell me that this guy, he was okay. He was fine. He's a media personality. They did it with that defense, the 85 Bears. And since then, this is how popular the Bears are in Chicago. I feel your pain, Chicago. If you're listening on Sirius XM right now, or if you need to check out the podcast, I hear you in Chicago. I feel your pain. Because think back to the Bulls dynasty for a second. And Jake, I'm going to go over it a little bit. Think back to the Bulls dynasty for a second. They had Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was the most famous and greatest athlete in the history of the world. Chicago had Michael Jordan in his prime with other Hall of Famers. They won the championship every year. And on Saturday Night Live, you know what the big joke was? The Bears. That was the Bears hadn't done anything since '85. Jordan was winning the championship every year, setting the world on fire. No one's ever seen anything like him before or since. The Bears. What about the Bulls? It was about the Bears. And the Bears in my lifetime, you know who the best quarterback is since McMahon, who was okay? Jay Cutler. It's a competition between Jay Cutler and Kyle Orton and Rex Grossman. This is the Chicago quarterback situation in my lifetime. Bears fans deserve something better than this. They miss everything. They traded up for Trubisky in a draft with Patrick Mahomes. They traded up for Trubisky, who lost his job to Nick Foles, who can't get protected by an offensive line. If you're a Bears fan, how do you stand for this? How do you stand for this? A town that's more obsessed with football than just about anywhere on earth, who once had the greatest football team of all time, the '85 Bears, has never had a single quarterback. Still, year in and year out, just excuses. 888-SAY-ESPN, 729-3776. Axe Max coming up. The Max Kellerman Show, presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who save with Progressive save over $750 on average. Call or click today to find out if they could save you hundreds on your car insurance. 888-SAY-ESPN, Axe Max.
ESPN serves sports fans anytime, anywhere. ESPN Plus. More sports, more leagues, more teams, more ESPN. Download the ESPN app or visit ESPN.com today.
This is the Max Kellerman Show. Adding a leader you need right when you need them. That's how sports teams get ahead and how your business can too. LinkedIn will match the right talent with your open roles fast. Post a job and you'll get great candidates with the right mix of skills, interest, and experience. So every hire you make is a win for your business. Go to linkedin.com/sports and get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Morning.
How'd you get in my house, B?
Through the air conditioning vent. It's dark in there.
Go away.
How about some Honey Nut Cheerios?
Cheerios. Do I look like a child to you?
Honey Nut Cheerios are tasty and can help lower cholesterol as part of a heart-healthy diet. Did you just
No.
I'm pretty sure I heard a
It was my dryer.
You might want to get that thing checked out.
Have a change of heart. Honey Nut Cheerios. Learn more about Honey Nut Cheerios by picking up a box at your local store.
Today, Angola Jr.
Sean Payton loves Taysom Hill so much that he takes their Hall of Famer, Drew Brees, off the field for this guy. But now we'll likely be seeing the true backup going in these situations for a guy in Taysom Hill who certainly offers you a lot and does what multiple roster spots would do, just not in the way that so many people touted for so long, like he was really in line to be the heir apparent for Drew Brees.
Place your legal sports bet at BetRivers.com, your new home for basketball betting. The most basketball betting options on the sport you love. We offer live in-game betting on every game in the U.S. We have tons of bets available during games, from money lines, total points, quarter bets, halftime wagers, and many more. Use one of our easy deposit methods to get in on the action. And when you win, we pay fast. Sign up now, and we'll match your first deposit up to $250. More bets, more action, more fun. Place your sports bets at BetRivers.com.
Today, foodies everywhere are combining new ingredients with old favorites. That's why they're using Tony Chachere's famous Creole seasoning blends. They add big flavor to your favorite